Hi everyone, this is yet another unboxing. If you have followed my other videos, you can see that I have purchased a Squier Affinity Telecaster, this year's model, and it was quite complicated to get a good copy of it. Meanwhile, I decided to get another guitar that's even cheaper, but also a nice Telecaster, which is this Harley Benton TE20. This is only 89 bucks, and yeah, let's find out. I'm really curious how this guitar is for this price. Okay, that's it. The box is even easier to open than the Squier box, if that counts. Okay. Oh my, look at that. For 89 bucks you also get a cable. I mean, this is the kind of cable you would have in a really dark corner of your room and only take it out in a real dark moment where every real cable is broken. But I mean, as a beginner, you can start with that. You can try out, and please replace it. But still, 89 bucks and you get a free cable, not only the keys for truss rod adjustment and bridge. Okay. Wow. Oh, this really gets me thinking, to be honest. Nice color. Look at that. This color is called Midnight Blue. It's not exactly the Lake Placid blue that Fender and of course Squier uses, but it's a beautiful color. And the neck feels intriguing, I have to tell you right away. Let's get rid of the box. They even take their time to wrap the strings. I think the Fender Player Series gets this packaging. That's better than the Affinity. To be honest, I'm actually really a bit intrigued if I shouldn't just get rid of the Affinity after all and use this guitar for all my mods. Honestly, this is quite shocking. It's shocking how well the neck feels. It's really shocking. So as far as to the wood goes, look at that grain, it's beautiful. This is very good. This is so much better than any Affinity I had in my hands before. Even here, where the neck joins the body, they've sanded it. Can you imagine that? Usually you get that on a 600 euro guitar if you want the Fender logo on the headstock. This is amazing. It's not as smooth as a player from Fender, I have to tell you, but I mean, just buff it up with a little bit of, I don't know, steel wool, something like that, and it's the same. It's awesome. No fret ends, absolutely nothing sticking out. They've done a very good job. The frets are polished. Yeah, they're polished. They have polished frets. I can't believe it. Let's see how straight it is in the neck pocket. Yeah, no complaints. Even the setup is not bad. The truss rod is good. You could, yeah. I mean, I should tune it up just a second. Honestly, even the tuners are better. These are budget tuners, of course. So this side is really well sanded off, but here, yeah, you can feel that there's a little edge still here, but come on, just remove it yourself. These feel a lot better than the 2021 Affinity tuners, which are again better than the 2020 Affinity tuners. Of course, they have a little play, but it's less than the other. They don't feel so cheap. I'm tuning up way too high, sorry. I'm so blown away by this guitar, actually. There you are. This is really, I mean, 89 euros. Kidding me, really? Even the spot where all the Affinities have a dent, I don't know what they are doing in the factory with it. They all have a dent here. This is never clean. In Fenders, it is. And maybe in the classic vibe, I don't know, because I've never had a classic vibe in my hands, but see, this is crisp, this is beautifully sanded everywhere, even here, as I said before. This is crazy. Oh, and I think that the dots here are aligned well enough. If you look really closely, you can see here that it's a two-piece neck. So it's a glued on maple fretboard. It's not a glossy finish or anything like that, so on this one, I would actually dare to try out to round the edges with a sanding block, which I wouldn't dare on my Fender player, which has a really nice shiny gloss finish on the fretboard. So I think this is a good candidate for that because it's a little bit easier on the hands if you're trying to play. So maybe it's worth it. We'll find out. Ooh, this is heavier than the Affinity, definitely. I think it's also bigger, which makes sense. I think it's the same body material, poplar, if I remember correctly. I will get this right in the real review. This feels good. I bet this one isn't top heavy, but we'll see in the review. It's not so heavy that you would get back strain or something like that, but it feels good. It feels like this is a guitar, an instrument of value. I really like the weight. This is really a very blue color. The Lake Placid blue has more of a greener tint. This is very, very blue, but it's beautiful. And I have to be honest, I don't find any spot. What you don't get here would be the belly cut, but who would buy a guitar just for the belly cut, which is 89 euros. Yeah, it's amazing. I don't see any imperfections. And I don't see the residues of them buffing the guitar. You could see lines on the Affinity, which is not present here. This is very, very good. I'm really impressed. You can see here that the neck plate is not 100% straight. You could try to correct it, but I'd say it's to a degree that it's not really noticeable. Okay, then comes the pickguard. This is a little bit difficult to see because this foil is a little bit messed up, but the screws are correctly screwed in place, no weird angles here. On to the components. Let's see how the bridge is aligned, because this is something important. You don't want it to be off in some kind of way. We've seen that on the Affinities, and you don't want that. I think it's a tad off. You can see that this gap is like 1 millimeter or 0.5 millimeter bigger than this. This could be the pickguard, and to determine if it's the pickguard that's slightly out of place or the bridge, you can always compare these two gaps. And if I do, it's the bridge that's a tiny bit off. But I would say that this is to a point where if you would really mind, if you notice that this position being a tiny bit off ruins somewhat how the strings align on the neck or with the pickups. Pickups are not so important, but you don't want the strings to fall off in some kind of way because of that. The pickup alignment, I think it's good enough. You can see that the two E strings are more on the edge of the magnets, but it will sound right. This is not a problem. Let's check the electronics. The jack is well in place. The plate is not aligned perfectly. This again, I think, is something you can fix easily by removing the plate, then closing the drill holes, and then drilling new holes and doing this really neatly. On to the pots and the switch. These turn better. They too are a bit out of alignment, but this is really to be expected in a cheap guitar. But you have more a scratchy mouse than a squeaky mouse. And the switch, it's kind of hard to change positions, but it feels better than on the Affinity. Intriguing for the price. That's all I can say. If someone would have given me this guitar without me knowing that it's less than $100, I wouldn't have believed it. Really, they've done a great job. One of the next videos will be a really in-depth review of this guitar, and I want to see if the dimensions are Fender compatible or not. I think that the pickguard is somewhat different, and maybe the neck pocket as well. We will deep dive into that and try everything out. So if you're interested in that, I'd be glad if you'd consider subscribing. Thanks. This brings us to the sound demo. I'm really excited. Here's my question for you. Have you ever picked up a really cheap guitar that you loved from the beginning, or do you think that quality always comes with price? Please let me know in the comments below, and I really enjoyed the last video's comments. That's it for today's episode. I'm really pumped about this guitar. I didn't expect that at all. And see you next week, because I gotta continue playing this guitar. Bye!